Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Scoreboard Keepers. I am your host, the Ref. You're going to love this one. We'll see you right back in 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboard Keepers. You're around here, we don't keep receipts. We keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboard Keepers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. We got a good one for you tonight. This is Police versus Criminals. I want you guys to like, share, and subscribe to reaction. We're going to score this video as accurately as possible. You know how we do. We get right to it. And always remember, we don't keep receipts. We keep the score. This is going to be a good one. Let's get right into it.
Just because you're a cop, why should you have the right to tote a gun around just because you have a badge?
And you're saying we shouldn't be armed?
You shouldn't have guns at all.
Okay, next time there's an active shooter going into a university, then we're just gonna let him shoot all the students.
You know what? I can't do this. Do this episode no more.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cops should not carry guns.
Right off the bat, people. It's hot right off the bat.
I mean, there are so many countries in this world that do not have this level of violence within its law enforcement department or any other department. Guns themselves are not the issue. It's the finger behind the gun, because you don't know the mentality, the mind, the heart of the person, and things trigger people and they snap. And no one exempt. Police officers are human beings too. They can snap.
If you took guns away from the uniform, I guarantee you, like, half of them would not be there working.
No, it's the power.
If you had to struggle to submit a perpetrator and to, like, actually do work, police work, like, it's not just about reaching for your gun 99% of the time. Yeah. So it's like if the gun wasn't part of the uniform, a lot of them wouldn't take that enabling role that they want to take as officers,
Right in front of my building, I was harmed by an older man. When I got away, I went to the police. The detective took me to the hospital, everything, checked me out. You know what the police officer did with having a gun and everything else? Pulled me over, saying he was taking me back home, pulled me over on a dark side of a street and raped me.
Wow.
Because of the uniform, the badge, and the gun that made me freeze. But you, as a police officer, saying that you were here to protect and to serve, you allowed your power, your uniform, you got everything else to make you think that was okay. And this happens a lot. Yeah. It happens a lot.
They want to abuse other people. They want to, tyrants over other people, so they choose jobs like that. Like, what if you want to help other people, why can't you go be a humanitarian? There's oceans to clean up. Instead, like, everybody just wants to be out here taking rights away from others and abusing people and getting guns. And the moment you start copying an attitude, literally click. Let's go.
But I don't want to do that to them as they do it to us.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
Okay.
If
right off
someone
the bat,
else has a gun, you gotta defend yourself too. Just the way you use it. I'm not saying that you should use guns, but I mean, if you have a gun and you have to use it, of course, but not use it just for traffic stops or people with mental illnesses, stuff like that. That's out. If they have a knife or a stick or a fork, like that doesn't justify anybody getting shot.
So you're for having armed police officers?
Yeah, if someone else has a gun,
Yeah.
if someone else.
I believe that y'all should be armed because I believe in the Constitution. I don't believe in the policing that the police force has done throughout many communities I've been in, but I do believe in rights versus laws, and I do believe that there are dangerous scenes that you go to where it is required to use them. So I have to agree that part of your, like he said, his tool belt needs to include a pistol.
Okay, good, because I was about to challenge you both and say, okay, so you mean to tell me that what happened at Michigan State University with an active shooter killing 5 students, or Ubaldi, where they went into an elementary school and killed children?
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook, what happened over 10 years ago. You're sitting there telling us that we shouldn't be carrying firearms?
Yeah, you shouldn't. Like, if you guys are just traffic cops and stuff like that, you guys shouldn't.
No,
if you guys are like a SWAT team.
Yeah.
Let me pause that real fast. I have to disagree with him about police not being armed. There's a lot of crazy people out here. There's crazy people doing things every day. Okay? If the police officers don't have guns, the criminals will, even if they have to make their own weapons. So you have to be careful saying that you want to disarm the people that are being paid to serve and protect. Now, if you're questioning whether they're doing that to the best of their ability, you have a case. But if you're trying to disarm them because you believe that you're going to run into all kinds of issues, because you're literally saying that certain officers shouldn't be armed. That's like saying you're a basketball player, but you can't use the ball. Can't do that.
You're not answering my question.
Like I said, I'm just going based on what you said. You called me a predator. I'm like, I never done that in my life, right? I've been in situations where I've been shot at. I had 2 members of my department die in the last 2 months. I've been in situations where I've needed my firearm. I've needed every tool in my belt in my career. If you would go out and then see half of the stuff I see, you may change your perception about what you see. It's dangerous.
So you can't call for backup?
What does me calling for backup have to do with
So
this?
if you work county, okay, say in my area.
Which I'm a county cop.
Right, and in my area, I mean, you have miles and miles of nothing around you. Your closest partner is maybe if you're lucky, 20 minutes away. Okay. In the meantime, I've got somebody that has me at gunpoint, and if I don't have a gun on my hip, I'm dead. I am a dead man walking because I have nothing that can go up against another gun.
But how do you think felons feel?
There's tasers, pepper balls, like.
Societal issues are not on the police. Like, I'm not stripping you of your rights, right? That is not, you can vote. I don't give a shit. You can vote. You can carry a gun. You can do all that. That is not my job in life. My job is, you've been accused of a crime. I got to take you to jail because this, and that, and the third. I'm done.
You're saying that we should have pepper spray, tasers to Michigan State University or Ubaldi? Is that what you're saying? So you telling me that?
I'm pausing this, ladies and gentlemen, to let you know that the anti-cops are not on the board yet because they're trying to strip the police of their weapons, and they're not making a good case in doing so. The reasons that they're giving are not valid enough because the actual officers on the other side is giving good rebuttals. In certain cases of mass shootings, and we all know that these kids in these high schools, the last few, like the last decade, there's a lot of mass shootings that's been going on, and these kids have been having AR-15s. You can't show up to a gunfight with a knife. That's what they say. So let's go. Let's get it.
If I'm a cop, I have no gun.
But also,
he said to the community, like maybe.
No, that's not what he said. The prompt is, should cops be unarmed? Hold on a second. You just got done watching probably the most tragic incidents probably historically. Ubaldi, may I add. That's kids, for crying out loud. And what you're sitting here saying is that we shouldn't be unarmed. What does it do? What you'd like me to do if someone has an AK-47 killing kids? That's my question to you.
We actually have our own rights. You know, that we actually have our own rights to carry and defend ourselves in certain situations like that.
You know, with all due respect, that's not the question.
You didn't answer the question, my guy. He asked you, what do you expect them to do since you're trying to disarm them, and you're talking about you have your own rights. He was talking about kids in schools. You're talking about the streets, basically. So I'm trying to give you a point, but you're not making a good case right now for yourself. So the police are up 4-zip.
That's not the question I'm
But
asking.
if you want to use your body,
I'm asking you if you were okay. I'll ask in a different way. If you're a police officer and you have no firearms, you got your pepper spray, you have your taser, you have your baton, and you are responding to Ubaldi Elementary School where there's an active shooter with an AK-47. What are you going to do?
I would say that I would call for backup to the proper authorities that would be entitled to have those weapons that are not in the general community.
I get what he's saying.
No, but what entitled to have weapons? Who? What agency?
So like the
SWAT
UK.
and above.
Yeah, what he's saying. It's like
the
United Kingdom. How United Kingdom, their special force in their police department have weapons, but they're regular.
So why should you just be? Why should you have the ability to just tote around a gun? That's my question to you.
What's that?
My question to you is, just because you're a cop, why should you have the right to tote a gun around just because you have a badge?
No. That's not what the prompt is. The prompt is cops being unarmed, cops being all of us.
but you use your body, and your body, they took like over an hour to respond when they were there. So you had the guns and you still didn't.
What I'm saying is that he's saying cops. Cops is a very, when you say cops to me, you're talking everybody. Every single cop, okay? And you're saying we shouldn't be unarmed. Okay.
You shouldn't have guns at all.
Okay, so you know what? Next time there's a big active shooter going into a university, then I guess we're just gonna let him shoot all the students.
So I have a question for you. So all those countries that don't have their police officers carrying guns?
Not many, just so you know.
Oh, I know very well. That's the work that I do.
Okay.
So, and even been there to see that. But what I'm saying is that, have you ever thought about how those countries respond to those situations? And can we do the same?
We absolutely could not do the same because we have criminals here, and I'm not speaking of y'all, but there are people here that still carry regardless of if it's against the law. If you were to take guns away from illegals, criminals, people that are not from here, I would 100% agree that officers don't need guns
So
and
are
that
those
we
mass
could go
shooters?
do
Because
what?
I think the mass shooters are not the ones, the immigrants, and the taking it all
No,
away.
but, and that's what I'm just giving examples.
Yeah, but
I'm just
so
giving
the
examples.
example-
Right, I mean,
Yeah,
so the mass shootings
it's
are
not
not
an
an
issue.
A constitutional right to bear arms, right, allows
It's a right.
everybody in this country to bear arms. Well, not
Which is
everybody,
rare.
not everybody. Let me be specific. If you're a law-abiding citizen to carry guns, the amount of guns that we have in America, doesn't it outweigh the people that we have? Hey, these countries, they don't have a Second Amendment. They don't have a constitutional right to bear arms. So it's a lot easier to say, you know what? Y'all can't bear arms, so y'all can't bear arms. In this country, we can. So I'm just being, like I said, everything is anecdotal. I've been in situations where I needed my gun, and you were absolutely right. Would I do the job without one? Hell no, because I've been in situations where I needed one, and you know what? I had it. It's equal force. I'm being shot at, I'm about to shoot back. Not just, hey, I have a gun on my hip, I'm just about to, you know what, guns. That's not how I do my job.
And the thing that popped right from that prompt is just active shooter, active shooter, active shooter. That's
And it's not even it's not even active shooter.
You know
it's
what?
just being shot at by itself. In
I
and of
haven't done the
itself.
research, or I don't know if there's any empirical data to know exactly in other countries how they respond to someone who has an AK-47 that goes into a building and starts killing people, and yet we're a police force that.
I find it interesting that they're using these mass shootings to justify some of the behavior of the police. These mass shootings are now a reason to stay armed, but I don't think that the criminals are talking about I don't think they're actually talking about those type of situations. I think they're talking about everyday situations. I don't believe they're talking about just mass shootings, for instance. I don't think they're just talking about that. I think they're getting into like the everyday life around their neighborhoods and in their towns and where they come from. So I don't know if they're quite understanding each other, or I don't know if the police are using that as an excuse to use the worst possible case scenario in order to justify them being armed. Let's go. I caught on to that, Marlon. That was slick.
doesn't have any firearms. I don't know. I would have to do the research.
They do have special units for it. They're just not out on the street where you see them all the time, 24/7. But you said something, and I want to bring that up. Hold on one sec. You said something. You said that the people with the guns are oftentimes criminals or, you know, people like that. And I want to say that those mass shootings that happen in our country are from people that pass a whole tons of background checks and are law-abiding, to your point, and all these things, and all of a sudden, and that was my point earlier about when people snap or whatever might happen, and we have to be clear in identifying that, because we get labeled like we're the ones doing all these mass shootings, all these things, these horrible, egregious things, and 96% of the time, it is not a person that was formerly incarcerated.
And to your point, we get
so
labeled.
let's be clear on that part.
Right, and then we get labeled as killers.
Right.
I think I've heard agents of racial genocide is what we've been labeled before. You know, and all this, and again, my point was just, I'm talking about one specific type of, you know, incident where,
But we have to
I
pay
think
attention
everybody
to
would
that,
agree.
though.
I think everybody would agree.
We
You'd
all
like to
have
have
to
a
pay
firearm.
attention to that, though, and be clear and be very honest with that, and identify it, and not try to like, oh, well, it sounds good, and let's get some news on this, and let's just like label them and put everything on them, because that's how we feel, because that is actually what's happening. And then when we know the truth and the facts, and it comes out, it's like that person was never been incarcerated, never had a record, never anything, and do the worst harm to our society, our communities, because believe it or not, the vast majority of us on this side of the fence want safety just as much as you do.
Hey, good humans. Zach here, checking in to ask if you're doing your best.
See, that was some good points, people. And this is why I thought that this topic was so interesting. And I thought that everybody would like it because, you know, we've all either know somebody that's in the police or had a run-in with the police, and we've all had an experience, no matter what it is. If you're driving a car, you've had an experience with the police because they pull people over. And the topics and things that they're talking about cover all of that. So it boils down to, what type of experience have you had with the police, who are hired to serve and protect your neighborhood, your community, and they're supposed to help you whenever you're in any kind of distress. Have you ever called the police and had them help you? Have you ever called the police and had them go against you for any type of reason? Like, what was your experience? Like, leave your comments down below because I'm curious.
Violence is blown out of proportion.
Wow.
I think that really depends on where you're at, whether it's city, town. I think it really depends on the department, because you have a lot of departments that you see a lot of that stuff, but then you have like the smaller departments that you don't see none of that. And you have community policing. You know, we go out and we do activities with the kids. We do activities with families. Yes, we still do our job. We still pull people over, but we're not, I guess, what you would call harassing people in some of the ways that the big cities do.
But I mean, you technically are, though. Like, I mean, justifying your bad behavior and your violence for you guys doing community work, it just doesn't go hand in hand, you know?
I understand people's sentiment where one incident where it looks extremely bad is wrong, and then it casts an entire umbrella over the entire profession. I may have a different perspective or different perception of what you're looking at than you do because I'm in this profession, but the way that I guess that we look at things now in the media, it's blown completely out of proportion.
So when we see
Dorian, what's blown out of proportion? What's blown out of proportion? Nothing's blown out of proportion. Your job and your position as a police officer, you're the most powerful person walking the streets, because above you is the court system and the judges and jail and everything else. But prior to anybody even making it there, the police have the power to kill. So don't say anything's being blown out of proportion, because let me tell you something. You have a duty to uphold, to protect, and to serve. And if one person is killed, while in police custody, then they're not doing their job. That's how people are looking at this. That you have the power to kill. So if somebody dies in your custody, everybody knows that the police have the power to do it, whether it's lawfully or unlawfully. It has happened both ways. So you got to understand your position, Dorian. I think you do. I think you know what type of power it comes from, but I don't know if you're actually going to acknowledge that right now. But the vibe that I'm getting from you is that you were just trying to make an excuse for the behavior that comes with the power that you have. Let's go. No points for you, Dorian.
The videos of a police officer handling a child, and that cop has become violent towards a child.
And I agree. But my thing is, has it been blown out of proportion? I see that one incident.
We see it a lot.
Dorian, it's a man's hands on a child is not blown out of proportion. See, this is the problem. This is the problem, Dorian. A man's hand, no matter what job he has. I heard a case a few weeks ago about an officer that showed up at someone's home that called the police, and the man on the inside of the house was going through an episode because he had a mental disability. See, for me personally, I think at that point he should have called the mental health specialist. It wasn't a job for his profession. It wasn't a crime. It was a mental episode. So the professionals should have been called to de-escalate a situation that he has no education or ability to do. You're not going to call a fisherman to do police work. So when he got there, he should have immediately called whoever to see if this man could be calmed down and to get his meds and to know what needs to be done ASAP. These things should be done 24 hours a day. Somebody in mental health should be on call for the police, because so many of these people are in our society. And guess what ended up happening? They end up killing that gentleman. All because they lacked the experience in that field and they didn't know what they were doing, and they handled him like he was just an everyday criminal. It's not blown out of proportion, Dorian. No point for you. I almost deducted a point from you for your team because I felt as though that you were being disingenuous. And I'm going and I'm still going to deduct a point if I hear you still going on that disingenuous tear. So I'm going to listen for right now because I'm not sure if you're being disingenuous, but I want to hear what else you have to say. But if you guys see a point go off for the cops, it's because of what Dorian just said.
You do see it a lot, but you have to also take in consideration that there's over 1,800 agencies in the entire United States. So if you look at the big grand scheme of things as it relates to all these agencies, and you do see violence, you do see where it's scrutinized, where it's brutal. But if you take the numbers, it's very, very minimal.
If you look at all the public contacts.
See? And Marlon just doubled down on what Dorian said. He said it's very, very minimal. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to take a point away from the police. You know why? One is too many for the position that you have. It's zero room for that type of behavior. And it's no excuse because this is the job that you signed up for. There is no excuse. Don't try to justify something that you know is absolutely wrong. Don't do something in your uniform that you would do outside of your uniform. And that includes manhandling children, which is what Donna was just talking about. There's no excuses. There's no excuse for it. Your uniform still shouldn't have you or give you the ability to manhandle a child that that doesn't even need it. The child is not even emotionally all there. So you being physical with this child is not the answer. That's not the answer. Now we'll go out here and tell grown-ups, violence is not the answer, or try to talk it out and walk it out. And here you come displaying a different type of behavior with a child. I'm taking a point away from you guys. 7-6 anti-cops. Let's go.
With all agencies nationwide, compared to these bad incidents or the perception of bad incidents, it's a very micro compared to the macro of how many public contacts all the agencies have with the public.
Those are the ones that you do see. I mean, even before social media,
it was brought up earlier about the media blowing it up, and we agree to that.
There was, Rodney King, there was Emmett Till, there was all these people,
and honestly, there's bad officers. And good officers will be the first ones to tell you there are bad officers. There's bad in every workforce that you're in. Everything. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's wrong, it's wrong. We are.
Nicole, the problem is, I hear what you're saying, and I hear you trying to make the point. But the problem is what I just said 5 minutes ago. If there's bad in that field, these bad people have the ability to kill. So the job should be more scrutinized for people that have different type of issues going on. They should be checked just like going into the Secret Service because of the authority that they hold within the community and being able to have the power to kill and to possibly cover up. It's happened. So you're saying that there's bad in anything. Listen, if it's bad on the job, people get terminated or they get moved to another position, so on and so forth. But if it's bad with a person with a gun and somebody gets killed, you can never rectify that situation because you can't bring that person back. Nice try, Nicole, but no points for you.
The first ones to kind of, hey, that's too far.
And I used to work internal affairs, and I personally arrested 2 prior police officers.
I also worked internal affairs, and I can tell you out of 30 plus of these tribunal hearings, a lot have been terminated. So there is some accountability.
Guys, now he just doubled. See, this is why points get taken off of the board. See, here at Scoreboard Keepers, we listen very intently. We listen closely, and we hold you accountable for what you say. And we listen. 5 minutes ago, you said it was at very minimal. You said it was at very minimal, these things, and you said it was blown out of proportion. Now you're telling us that you worked in internal affairs, and many were terminated. Many were terminated. You can't say things like that and expect us not to hear it. We're going to hear it here, deduction of a point, because that was a disingenuous statement you said 5 minutes ago. You said that these things were at very minimal, and you said that the media blows these things out of proportion. Now you come back and tell us that you were in internal affairs and you going before the tribunal. Many people were fired from these things or for these things. And if it was at very minimal, it wouldn't even be a need for a tribunal. Let's go. It wouldn't even be a need for that. But they have it for a reason, because they know it goes on.
I think we're heading in the right direction, considering 20-something years ago, you did something bad and, you know, it got swept. Now, social media obviously has magnified it by hundreds and hundreds, which is good.
But what social media has done is just allowed everyone to see what's happening in the moment, right? Before we got it weeks later, months later, years later, so no one knew what was going on. But now we have the ability to film it in the moment and say, hey, look at this, and this is what's being captured. And violence that's perpetrated against people who, whether they're doing something wrong or not, is so, I mean, it's to the point where it's not even harmful anymore. It's tragic. Why? Because we're all human beings. And there's a culture of violence that perpetuates within the department itself. And I've had good cops reach out to me and said, they're not listening. And if they know I'm saying anything, I'm gone or I'm going to be hurt.
Police violence is completely blown out of proportion, in a sense that it's completely biased. Why isn't nonviolence or me saving someone's life not blown out of proportion?
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I don't believe it's blown out of proportion because I believe it's just barely getting the exposure that it needs.
It is what it is. That's what it is. Each time I've encountered the cops, it's just been like the most negative experience of my life. Like, I'm addicted to the news. And every time I turn on the news, it's another cop killing. Like you said, maybe they don't report what's good out there, but they do report the bad. And I watch it every day of my life. Like, I see how the cops treat people.
If I may ask you, if you did see the good, would that give you a different perception about the police?
It's not that I don't see the good, it's that it just doesn't, I haven't seen it happen, I haven't experienced it, I haven't heard nobody in my community like have anything good.
So I've seen the good when I was 16 years old. I'm in my 40s. I actually had a police officer who was my hero. Every contact since in multiple states, multiple divisions, has violated me, stolen from me, taken from me, and stripped me of every value I ever had. The way y'all talk to me, the approach. I'm so respectful. 18,000, that's what you said? Divisions?
No, 1,800.
1,800? How many prisons are there? And how many inmates? And then we're disarmed when we come home. We can't vote, so I can't compete with you on my laws. I can't carry a gun. I can't defend myself. I can't even carry a knife. The exposure is barely there. We need more exposure. I'm from the LA County area, from the islands of Hawaii originally. Every police in between them seas to the East Coast has always spoken with disrespect. They don't pull us over on a speeding ticket like, hi, how's your day? How you doing? Do you got any emergencies going on?
Yeah, they come with their guns.
When's the last time you was arrested?
Who, me?
No, I'm just saying that's the approach when you come to the car window, right? Is on guard.
I don't talk like that. So I hear where you're coming from, but I don't talk like that. So some people do that. You talk for them, but you said us. You just pointed at us and said us.
The department. All departments. All
I don't know which
I don't
department
know
they work for, but I work for a department, and I've never seen these people in my life. I've never seen you in my life. I've never encountered you in my life, but I wouldn't.
That's not what she said, Dorian. Dorian, she didn't ask you whether she knew you guys personally. She was talking about it as a whole, and she was talking about her personal experience. And she's basically saying that you know that it happens, but you're not admitting to it. But now here you are defending it again, using yourself as an example. But I haven't heard you say once that you're going to try to rub off on your coworkers. I haven't heard you say that yet. I hear you in defense mode. I'm trying to give you a point, but you come back up here and you're basically contradicting yourself and saying things in defense mode and misunderstanding what she was actually talking about. Now we're listening closely up here, Dorian. We heard what she said, and you're changing. You're moving the goalposts. Because she wasn't talking about you personally. She's talking about the police department and her personal experience with these situations. So it's not about, I don't know where you're from. It should be about what can we do to make it better? Or maybe that police department needs more training. Or maybe they need to hire better people. Let's go.
Come at you like that.
So you don't cuss at people when you walk up to them?
Oh, absolutely.
When I walk up to them, no. Now, if they're cussing at me, I might cuss back. Absolutely. I'm going to allow you to dictate how you want to allow this interaction to go.
What if I speak to you with respect?
You're going to let them dictate where you want them to go. Where's the de-escalation at, Dorian? Where's the de-escalation at so the situation doesn't get there? Even if the person is cursing, they have the freedom of speech. So what are you talking about? Watch this, people. Look at that scoreboard on the home side. Watch this. We're going to hold you accountable for what you say up here. We score these things as honestly and accurately as possible. So we don't play around when it comes to that scoreboard. Listen at what he said. I'm going to let you dictate the energy. Well, if you're going to a crime and the energy's already up, you don't have to go there to match that energy. What are you talking about? Your job is to assess the situation and possibly try to de-escalate it so it doesn't turn into a crime. What are we talking about here? You got a gun on your hip and you matching energies? Just because somebody may be cursing at you? Man, listen, people, when you watch these playbacks and you listen closely and you do what the scoreboard keepers are doing, you get to the bottom of things when you start peeling that onion back. Let's go.
And you go back there and you pull my license and it says parole date 2036.
You're still going to get treated with respect.
Walk up to you.
I've never, not one time. So you guys are 4 out of hundreds I've
you
came
can
into
come do
contact with.
ride-alongs
And that's
with
fine.
me.
But what I'm saying is I'm coming to you.
I
Oh, what are
will
you on
show
parole
you,
for? I'm on
yes.
parole for this and that and the third.
Your computer doesn't
now,
tell
if
you
you're an
what,
asshole,
that's my response.
If
Your
you're an
computer
asshole,
doesn't tell you, you got to do your job.
Yeah, and the dynamics change because everybody's got body-worn video now, or dashboard video, and everything's recorded.
Yeah, but
all
that's
these
the reason
contacts.
you guys have them. That's exactly why you guys have body cams and dash cams,
For
because even your own
transparency.
departments don't
it's
trust
for
you.
transparency. So if I do something, the public knows why I did something. That's what it's for. I grew up in the era of body cams, so I'm fine with it. I turn it on every single time. I've had people say, hey, this person is rude, this person this and that and the third, and they watch the body cam, did nothing that they said.
Bingo. And I'll
But
jump into that.
technology is policing you. So technology has little air. Human beings are policing us in the community of a community that you don't even know our values. You come from 30 miles away is a difference in the values. So I believe that it does need more exposure beyond the cameras that y'all
Well, I
have.
think if you're going to say it needs more exposure, I think the good side also needs more exposure. I think policing in a whole needs more exposure.
I mean, I grew up with that in school, DARE programs and all these false hopes.
But that's not, the DARE
That's your
program has
exposure.
nothing to do with patrol and being out on the streets and working with people and families out on the streets. I see the good in policing, but I also see the bad in policing. So, like I said, if
If you saw the bad in policing, why haven't you mentioned it yet? I appreciate your honesty, but you haven't mentioned it yet, and that's where you get your points at up here. Like, if you've seen the bad in it, then why are you on in defense mode right now? What's the bad? Because I would like to hear it. I would like to hear it, but I know that you know, if you're a police officer, you know how serious it is for you to be in any type of bad situations with a gun on your hip, because it can become deadly.
if this one side needs more exposure, I think it all needs more exposure.
I grew up in the community. I'm not judging you, but yet you see me with a uniform, you automatically judge me. And I don't think that's fair.
Well, because that comes from her experience. That's what she's trying to say. It's like as soon as the uniform is put on, the badge, it's like, and for most, because I'm in that work, and I see it, and it's like the ego comes in, or that power. And as human beings, we must feel like we're in control. It just seems to be an innate thing within all of us. Oftentimes, people with titles and roles allow the titles and roles to justify what they do. The good is there. The good is there. There's 4 of you right here. You have some conscience. That's what I'm hearing.
Committing a crime is never justified. Does anybody agree with the prompt?
No.
Everything is a crime now.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
That
Interesting.
prompt, it's a very open-ended question. I shared a part of my story earlier about the person, the officer, who was there to protect, serve, and he committed a crime against me. Was he justified? Because he was a police officer, a detective. I forgave him.
Wow.
And so that's why I couldn't step forward, because I had to pause for a second. I have to take a neutral stance here because that's not our reality.
I was 14 years old and I was deciding to not go to school. And my stepdad came up and yanked a cover out from underneath me and I hit the ground off of a bunk bed. And I got up cussing him and he slapped me across my face and I was the one that was taken to juvenile hall. But damn it, my crime was justified. You know, I think with anybody, with any crime that is committed, there's a reason, there's a background, there's a story.
There you go.
There's circumstances that you have to find out. And us as police officers, that's our job, you know, and we'll take it from there.
So none of you as officers stepped forward and felt like it was unjustifiable the minute that you put your badge on to commit a crime?
No.
Not one of you?
I feel like it's
she just
justified.
asked for an instant.
Right. I feel like some things are justified for basic survival.
I'm just curious, if out of four of you didn't have that one concept and you took an oath to protect and serve my community, his community, your community, her community, and not one of you stepped forward, I was going to step forward and challenge it. I hesitated and went back because I wanted to rethink it. Not one of you felt like when you put on that badge and that tool belt that there was no justifiable reason to commit a crime because it'd be self-defense, right?
Some things are justified. I just said basic survival. I deal with transients all the time, right? They go and steal something. My department requires me to do something when somebody steals something. Now, do I think it's right? No, but he's hungry. It's my job, so I have to do something or I'm gonna get fired. Can I pull out my card and pay
I've
for
done
it?
that.
No,
I've done that.
But I can't. My department doesn't allow me to do that, so I can't do that. I have to do something. If they say, hey, I want him to go to jail, he's going to jail, based on what that person said. With your situation, if she would have took the knife to the officer, that's justified to me, right? In my eyes.
Yeah.
Now, do we have being justified and dealing with the consequences are two different things?
I'm totally accountable. My years in prison made me 100% accountable for me in every action that I do and every thought that I make. So I've served federal and state prison. I have a parole until 2036 for narcotics. I've never hurt anybody. Nobody's ever overdosed from my drugs. I just got caught under the Reagan laws. I was raised in there. I've created my deepest friendships that I have in there. I've left women behind in there. The problem is that when I found myself in trouble since I've been home, the last number I would call is anything with a 11, 211, 411, or 911. My loss of faith and belief in the whole entire police community is gone. It ain't no 2% of you in my eyes. There ain't no 1%. Because you might be a hero one day, and then 16 years later, back against the corner, lose everything you stood for. And it happens, we're humans.
Just a prompt. Anything that you've done to get you where you were was never justified.
If you look at justifiable, no, I was greedy. I was taught to hustle.
But why did you start?
Because I was hungry.
Wow.
You were justified, but you're still going to get arrested. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't justify it. I'm accountable. See, there's a difference. You can't.
That's not what I'm saying. I understand where you come from, but I'm still going to arrest you. I'm still going to do my job.
Because this is a job.
Yeah, I'm still going to do it. So I understand your story. I hear you, but you're still going to jail. That's what I'm saying. Is it justified? I get it. You were hungry. You had to do what you had to do. You had to do what you had to do to survive. I get it. But you're still going to jail.
You're doing a job that the department told you to do.
Right.
You just said that. Would you want it to come out your pocket to probably feed the person that was stealing something because they're hungry? Because in your humanity, you know what it's like to be hungry.
Agreed.
But in your job, you know that if you don't do what you're told, and the procedures and stuff, that you're going to get in trouble. You probably lose that job, and that's not something you want to do because you also have to feed your family and feed yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So I think we can all agree, some of you have good intentions, and you go in with that. But it's a department that has a culture of violence. You can't help but to pick up some of those traits. A number one, because you want your job. A number one. So I served 27 years in prison, in a maximum security prison for women. I had a sentence of 25 to life for the crimes of kidnapping and murder. That's what I was convicted of. Did I do it? That's a different story. No person that represented a system helped me. Punishment has become the response to every damn thing in this country.
Because it's like we're out in the street living every day to survive. We're out in the street doing our own thing. When you guys as colleagues come after us, like at what point does it justify your colleagues to do all that stuff just because they have that badge? When y'all colleagues are shooting at us, how does that justify you guys' crimes? That's what I understood from her. I understood like when you guys are, that's what I got.
Because I was agreeing with what she's saying.
You're out in the streets and you guys come and do all this and that. Well, who's calling? Who's calling us to get to where you're at?
All right, let me give you a perfect example, right?
Okay.
Let's say I have a broken down car.
Okay.
I have a broken down car and nobody called you. You just happen to see a broken down car. And I have my emergency lights on too, so I'm declaring that I'm having an emergency situation.
Okay.
You see me out and about, I'm on my phone, I'm in a safe area on this side, on the right side of my vehicle where I'm not in imminent danger. I'm following all my protocols. Let's say I even go as far as putting a road flare or a cone from like a traffic kit. I cover all my T's and A's, I'm literally trying to avoid you because I don't like you. So I'm doing everything I gotta do, but here you go. Woo, 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 woo. Hey, what's up? Do you need help? And I'm like, no, sir, I don't need any help. I've called AAA, they're on their way. I verbally communicated with you that I'm good. I'm in no imminent danger. I put my cones up. I'm waiting for AAA. I relayed to you, verbally communicated that I'm okay. I'm not bleeding. You're not seeing anything going on with me that would attract you to come after me. But here you are, grabbing at your belt, pulling at your thing. Just seeking for something to go after. Immediately seeking, like you're like a predator, bro. You're literally hawking eye into your target and you're like, I'm gonna get him. Boom, and then here you go. You been drinking today? I'm like, bro, I just told you I don't need your help. Like I'm sitting here waiting for my AAA to come with a flat tire because I got a wheel lock. Okay. Oh, so, but have you been drinking today? Are you on probation or parole? Immediately it's like, dude, I'm in distress. I've advised you I don't need your help, put up all my flares, crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's, but you continue to push the subject.
Yeah.
Have you ever go as far as like pulling your gun? Why are you getting hostile, sir?
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying.
Why are you getting hostile, sir? Click. You good?
Yeah, so
I feel like you're getting hostile, sir. Put your hands where I can see them. Click. Okay. There we go.
So I'm going to tell you what I always just say in the streets when I work patrol.
Do we agree here?
This is what I was going to say. I'm going to tell you what I always say in patrol. And this is what I said in my earlier comment where we get painted with this broad brush. First of all, I would have given you a ride. When you say you, I just want to make sure and be clear that me personally.
Marlon, you know that ride would have been in the back seat, right? If you would have given him a ride, you would have asked him to get into the back seat. Who wants to get into the back seat of a police car? Think about that for a second. Come on, Marlon. You got that look on your face. I'm not taking a point. But I know that you know because you didn't say it verbally. But I know you know that if he would have gotten to that car, more questions would have came. And nobody wants to be in the back of a police car. Let's go.
That's why I have AAA though. I don't need a ride.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. What I'm saying is that in my mind, you're speaking about me personally. I would have helped you no matter what.
But I don't need your help. I've advised you, verbally told you.
That's
when
fine.
you were 10
and you
feet
know
away,
what?
and you kept coming towards me.
I would have took off and went to Starbucks and got a cup. I would have took off and went to Starbucks and got a cup. I understand that. But what I'm saying is that I'm going to tell you what I always used to say when I used to work in the streets. You know what? I can't speak and I can't feel what you feel.
So why did you?
Let me finish.
See what I mean?
Let me finish.
You guys are predators, bro. Exactly. Nobody called. Who called you?
You're not letting me finish.
So who called you?
You're not letting me
finish. But that was my question. That was your question, right? Who called you?
Did I let you speak?
But nobody called you.
Can I speak? Can I say something?
He doesn't understand. Can we get a little protocol here, the Q&A, where he talks and then I talk?
Yeah,
because he's not letting me talk.
Okay, you can respond and then I want to hear from Scott and then we have to go to the next one.
Can you just please let me finish? Okay.
I mean, I'm answering the valid points validly, just saying.
You're not letting me, you know what? Disregard.
It's good. We don't gotta agree, but I gotta say like
what I'm trying to.
But you gotta have more patience as a police officer.
Well, no,
you just got a quick snap and I can see it.
You always gotta be right.
No,
Like
I'm just used to arguing. When I argue, I always let the person speak as much as you can.
I think he just
and then once.
the crime that was committed, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop. I saw the cops. I grew up in the 90s, so they would give baseball cards, and I thought the cops were the coolest things because I had a real bad childhood, like with my parents, and I didn't really have friends like that. But the cops will be there. But
see, people, what I was telling you about sometimes people have some type of things going on. It could be mental illness. It could be anything going on. He just verbally admitted that he had a problem with his parents. So, when you're coming up on these people and stuff like that, you never know what you're getting involved in. Never know what you're dealing with. So just using force and deadly force sometimes is not called for. Like some of these people that's coming out are just not qualified. Let's just be honest. And notice, right? He said, like, the good things are not glorified. You know what I mean? But you hear about more traffic stops than you do catching bank robbers. You get my drift? If a cop's toting his hat off of, just harassing everyday citizens and pulling people over for traffic stops and going inside people's houses and just messing with regular citizens, the people that are taxpayers, basically, right? And yet the murderer hasn't been caught, the bank robber hasn't been caught, the rapist hasn't been caught, the serial killer hasn't been caught, the mass shooter is, just killing 50 people before he's apprehended. Like, it's a difference. It's a difference. So I get what Scar is talking about right now. You know what I mean? And you just never know what you're running up on. The situations are always deeper than that initial blood rush that they're getting when they get to these crimes. I ain't even gonna call them crime scenes. When they get to these calls. And this is why I took a point from Dorian, because he said, I'm going to match that energy. Well, the energy could be crazy when you get there. Are you going to match that? You're going to go crazy too? If the officer's not de-escalating the situation, then you have chaos. Let's go.
Second, I got my lowrider bike. Like, the cops would pull me over and give me tickets, and I'd be like, why don't you stop them over there? It's like, well, we're stopping you. How are we gonna stop them? And then I would get tickets constantly. I was just a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I like the lowrider culture, and they would give me tickets all the time. Then my parents would be like, why are you getting tickets? Like, I don't know. They just keep stopping me. And then, like, maybe I'll ditch school, and the cops will, like, sometimes they'll get me from a certain neighborhood and drop me off in far away from my house, or sometimes, and I was a minor, and they'll get me from the streets and take me to the police station, which I found out later was illegal. And they made me to who I am, and they made me think that I was a bad guy until, like, I realized almost like 13 years ago, I don't got to be that bad guy no more. But the cops made me who I was.
And I'll share, like, I've never served any time like that. I was arrested as a 13-year-old. Literally, I still looked like I was 10. I was smoking weed at the park, and I got immediately apprehended, taken into custody. I got handcuffed behind my back, and then I got placed in a cop car with no divider. It was like a park cop, so no divider. And then when he started asking me about my name and stuff. So I was like the adolescent phases. I didn't want to answer him. I didn't have to.
Why not though?
He's a minor.
Because I'm a minor. You don't have to interrogate me without my parents.
You don't have the right to talk to them.
That's incorrect. You committed a crime.
See, but I mean,
But I don't think you're well.
All right,
I don't think you're well versed.
One second.
Gotcha.
So without the barrier, and he kept asking me questions, and I just simply didn't want to answer him. I didn't have to at that point, So he got upset that I didn't, volunteer with whatever his demands were, and he just punched me in the chest as a handcuffed 13-year-old kid, knocked the wind out of me, whatever, It went as far as violating my rights. I never even knew that I could have told his commanding officers or even the watch commander once I got to the jail, yo, this guy like sucker punched me in the chest, like he knocked the wind out of me, he abused me, he abused a minor. I didn't know any of that. Now that I'm an adult, because I'm a felon, because of course that, you know, escalated into more things like getting marijuana. And marijuana was hella illegal back then. I'll be damned if you guys mess with me like all over again. And that has happened to me.
I get it.
That's why I got road flares in my car. That's why I keep like a kit. You know?
I get it.
I cross all my T's and dot all my I's, dude.
Criminals who commit violent felonies don't deserve certain legal rights.
You know what? I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't do this episode no more. It's not making any sense. The questions just don't make sense to me. I can't really get my point across how I want to. And the questions are kind of like reversed. Like it's like you're asking the question, but you kind of. I can't do it.
I totally understand.
I can't do it.
You can always share whether you agree or disagree.
Well, everybody's talking over each other.
I
I can't be on camera doing that.
I totally
I'm trying
understand.
to get my point across that the police, you know what I mean? But I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that, and I can even get my point across. There's no point of me being here.
So
I'm out of here.
Can we take a smoke break then?
Let's take a smoke break.
Oh, I can? Oh, yes.
I fear the other side. Step forward if you agree.
You know, I think it's part of their job to put fear in us, but it shouldn't. You know, every time just for a traffic ticket or just being stopped on the street, it was always like guns drawn right away. You know, and every time they point their guns at me, especially towards my back when I'm not even looking, like it just gives me this fear. Like, and then not only that, they like to manhandle you. They like to like grip on your knuckles when they already know the procedure. I spread my legs and I try to do everything right, and they still try to manhandle you each time. They try to like hold you so you could react and do something. It's like that it's like their job is to incriminate us. And for every traffic ticket, it was always like, I always had my driver license, my insurance, so every time they would come at me, I'll start cursing them out. Like that was me, that was my whole, from ever since I turned 18 to I was like 30, I was just cursing them out every chance I get, and I would love it. Because they'll give me a ticket each time, and I'll be like, okay, like I don't care, like I'm paying for my freedom, and that was the cost of my freedom. But I did fear for my life each time. Every time like they manhandle me and talk down to me, all I would think about was my kids. Like them, if my kids wanted to see how these people act, because my kids look up to me. But to see the cops like act this way and then laugh about it, you know, who are these people? Like they bring fear to the community. They don't bring any peace or nothing like that. You know, and that's how I grew up. I grew up with so much aggression towards the cops, like so much aggression until I realized, you know what, I'm not who they made me to be.
I have a dangerous job, just like how you have children. I don't know if everybody has children. I want to go home to see my children, so I don't necessarily fear the other side. I just fear what could happen if I let my guard down while I'm doing my job, and that's it. Once you start off aggressive, I kind of have to match that, because in the back of my head, why are you being aggressive? I have to understand.
See that? He repeated it again. He repeated it again. He was making points, and then guess what? Watch the scoreboard. Because it does not matter. You're not supposed to be matching the energy that you're going to. You're supposed to be de-escalating the situation, assessing the situation. How can you do that if you match the energy with the people that's there? You're now you're now a perpetrator. I disagree with what he's saying.
Hey, he's being aggressive for some reason. I don't want to die. I don't want you to die. You don't want to die. I would hope that you don't want me to die, and we just meet in the middle right there.
Yeah, actually, back then I would hope a car hits them or something, because the cops will come out with their guns drawn. It wasn't even like I'll just be spooked, and once they come to me, I'll be like, you motherfucker, like I'll just go off on them.
In my younger days, like I'd never just pointed my gun for no reason, but I was, you know, what the, what, oh, whoa. Now it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's just interesting how all you guys stayed back there and didn't come, and I think you guys decided to come and show that you do have fear, but I don't think you guys really fear us, you know, the way we fear you. You keep saying that it's not you, and he's gonna keep saying that it's not him, so who is it? Nobody?
As if it's black and white. Do I fear you? No. I don't even know you to fear you.
I signed up for the fact that one day I'm gonna get shot, and 20 plus years ago, I couldn't agree with you more. I totally understand that brutality and how we treat people. We treat them like shit. I get that. Fast forward 25 years ago, because of all that treatment that we did, now you have ambushes. You got situations where suspects, people are coming up at cops and just executing them. And so when the prompt says, do I fear the other side? Well, yeah, I mean, the other side is someone who wants to take my life out and doesn't even know me. And
well, at least he's being honest. So he's basically saying that they created a monster. So I have to give him points for his honesty. And that's what we're looking for here. You're being honest towards the questions and giving honest answers, and versus what Dorian is saying. So these two police officers are not even on the same page, really. You got one that wants to master energy, and then the other one saying, look, we have done a lot of bad things, and we understand that now you have a whole generation that doesn't respect the police, and they may end up wanting to do something to the police. It's just the truth. And if you look at Scar looks like he's been through some stuff. He looks like he's been through some stuff, and he's not playing any games about it. Some things have happened to him, and it doesn't look like it was good. So when he's talking and he's verbalizing his situation, people need to take it in consideration, especially coming from the police. Don't act like it never happened, because when you do that, you're actually offending that man. You're being disrespectful. You telling him what he's seen he didn't see it. That's why he asked Dorian, saying, "All right, if you're saying it didn't happen, and Marlon saying it didn't happen, who did it? Nobody." That's what he was saying. Let's go. I hear you, Scar.
Coach, that's a consequence of what happened decades ago, where we did treat people like shit.
I just had to say this straight. Let's be clear. What we're hearing right now, there's trauma, right? And
Yes.
this is triggering.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And so what we're going off of our reality, what's happened and what continues to happen. It causes us as human beings to become defensive. It causes us to become protective. It causes us to become things that we're not.
But it
we weren't
shouldn't.
born to, and it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Exactly.
Like, I should not have to stay inside my house and become an
And I heard
introvert.
it.
And it's like, why can't I enjoy my freedoms? I'm a tax-paying American. I mean, I know I'm a felon and I can't have certain, rights, but when does my fear of you guys impede me from living my life as a free American?
I'm only 30 years old, so I'm dealing with the consequences of what people have done in the past. But it's like, I'm not like that. So it's like, I get the trauma, but it's also like, I'm trying to change it. Allow me to change it.
You know what? I do have to say something. Like, the cops from the 90s are very different from the new cops, because now they got a whole bunch of different races. Before, it was mostly whites. Yeah, so that's what I had to deal with in the 90s. But now it's a little different, I could say that.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I agree with this gentleman here about the job as danger factors. Coming across people out in the field and patrol, I didn't fear them because I treated them with the utmost respect, and I treated them the way I would want my family to be treated if they were on the other end being stopped. I've had arrestees after going to the jail and processing them, getting them food, whatever. A handful would say, you know what, thank you for treating me with the utmost respect.
I live in anxiety every day. Every time I see a black and white cop car,
I get it.
every time I see red and
get
blue
it.
lights,
I totally
a
get it.
uniform, I hear a little too much keys. I hear I just don't, little noises that come with your guys' uniforms. I sat up here for 15 minutes and was gonna turn around because I did not wanna be in a room with 4 people that wore that badge. And it's come to that much of a broken trust because I am the most friendliest human that you'll meet. I trust everything, even a stranger walking. As soon as I see a uniform, I'm totally guarded, and I live in anxiety because of it. Me, with my parole, I could show license, registration, insurance with a smile. Oh, why you got a parole till 2036? Step out of your vehicle. Next thing you know, my little tiny belongings are on the side of the curb and it's not even getting put back together. And then I'm late for work. Now I gotta explain to a job that hired a felon why I'm late because someone had a pissy day and they saw that I had a parole date. If you don't know my trauma, I don't expect you to evaluate it. But I don't expect a tough tone either, because it might trigger me and then we both gonna be all types of bitches.
Totally.
You know?
Totally get you.
So,
What I want to know is how you guys feel about that we're scared of you guys.
I hate it. Yeah. Because how do I gauge that? I don't know. I guess I have to continue to ask questions this and that third. But I'm like, why the hell? I'm just talking to you. Like if I saw, like I said,
because you can only put an animal in the corner for so long before they fight back. But I think that's what the police wants. I think that they want a war. They want us to fight back. Because I wanted to fight back so long until I realized I wasn't that person, and I had to just go my way, like follow the path that God gave me, and I had to leave that alone. But I did have a uglier path that I was gonna follow. But it's like, you know, the cops. It's like you guys make yourself our enemy.
I don't enjoy conflict.
Well, I'm telling you, we're all scared of you. Everybody I know is scared of the police.
When you interact with me or with any of you guys, I'm going to understand who you are as a person. And it kind of goes back to what he had said about match energy with energy, you know?
But if that was the case, I mean, we don't really fear you. We don't. We're not scared. I'm not scared of you one bit. If I had a gun, we could both go at it. We'll do a duel or something like that, and we'll be even. Other than that, I'm not scared of you guys, but it's just the fact that a lot of times we don't have guns, we don't have knives like you guys think we're ninjas, that we're just gonna throw a knife or a fork and it's gonna land in your eye, and then you guys, that's not how we live. That's not the reality that we.
That badge gives you guys all the power.
What community are you from? Because I hear twang.
Tennessee.
Okay, so where do you police?
Tennessee.
You police in Tennessee? Mm-hmm. So do you police in the community you grew up in?
I do.
Okay, so out here in LA, it's pretty different. Okay, our police, like the beat, they might live there for 25, 30 years and live over here now because they've made it out. Or they might actually come from somewhere they wanted to police, but they send them to Long Beach. You know, so a big factor is that badge that you put on, you took a responsibility to know that I don't trust you. We can have commonalities. I probably can't have a commonality with you even if you said that it was your passion, other than if we could get to the way above you, because you're like the bottom of the trickle effect of the system. Mm-hmm. I need friends way up there. Yeah. Once you put on that uniform and that badge, for me, I'm on guard no matter who you are.
You're 100% right. We have a lot of work to do. Shows like this, us coming together and having this dialogue, it's only gonna try to get us, you know, not only just a middle ground, but to treat each other as humans. So we have a lot of work to do. I totally get it.
I agree.
Policing is necessary. Policing is necessary.
You don't do it cold like that. Cold, man.
I agree, because I was kidnapped, raped, and tortured, and it was an off-duty LA sheriff officer who was out of jurisdiction playing softball. It was during payphone days. He saw red flags. He was policing. You know, he did his job. He noticed damsel in distress, I guess, and he called local authorities, and the gentleman got a double life sentence due to the horrendous crimes he committed against me. So I do believe that policing is necessary in certain perspectives. However, I'm gonna be biased. I think that y'all don't need a police drug me, no. So I do believe that there is a reason and a purpose for your positions.
I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm a parent, and I have a daughter, I have a mother, I have a sister, and I would never want anything like that to happen. And what you went through was horrendous, and we have checks and balances in place for that. Moving forward with a lot of transparency, I think there are a lot of changes in regards to issues with that. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I personally arrested 2 of our own officers working internal affairs for the crimes that they committed. It didn't go over well, but it had to be done. And those are the checks and balances, transparency that these agencies have in place. So
We are not a healed race of humans. We are not in a healthy place. We haven't been in a healthy place probably ever. But we have to get there. It's not working. It causes more harm than it does good. Because even if 100 police officers do good, it takes that one to do something so atrocious, so bad, that it just wipes all the good away. And it shouldn't. And it shouldn't, but it does. Hungry people are gonna steal to eat. And that's the thing. We're not looking at the root causes of stuff. Yes, the 4 of you, what I'm hearing, you sound like really good human beings that have a job, or chose a job, to maybe you wanted to protect and serve and whatever else, and knew that there was bad things that happened, you wanna help with that. I understand that, and it's true. But it gets lost and it gets murky when we continue to see the things that happen. Policing is necessary, but it depends on how you police.
I wanted to be a football player. It wasn't that good.
I do believe y'all need to be policed as well, though. I believe that you as police officers spend way too much time policing us and not enough time policing each other. And on all the videos, 100% has shown the facts of what partners do. You know, they stand by, they don't police each other. They don't say, hey, stop, bruh, hold up. My homeboys, if I'm acting a fool and they know my felony, they're gonna stop me. They're gonna say, get back over here, Bonnie. Calm yourself, you got too much to lose. All the videos where there's one gone wild,
We don't do that.
not policing each other.
Right, so to your point.
Senate Bill 2?
Yeah, well, not only that, yeah. So, yeah, they just enacted duty to intercede, or intervene, right? So, yeah, right now, you act a fool and you start acting up, and your partner's there and you just watching, that's not going to cut it.
I don't know. I want you guys to leave some comments down below about that law. I didn't know about that. Duty to intervene. Duty to intervene. If you guys know anything about that, leave some comments down below. I didn't know about that. That's something new. I wonder if it's just in California or is that everywhere? So now they're able to police themselves. And I guess that goes for anybody, no matter what rank you are. I didn't know about that, so I just learned something else. Let's go.
You're going to get jammed up and probably get terminated. Me personally, look, in my 25 years, I spent about 12 years in discipline. So I worked in internal affairs and I prosecuted cops. So I'm 100% with you. I don't think any of us here would like to have a bad actor or a liar, you know, or a murderer for that meaning, or a rapist, or, you know, so that in it itself is just not tolerated whatsoever because we're trying to do what's good. Is police needed? For me, on a personal note, I had a sister who was molested and raped when she was young, my older sister, and she got heavily into drugs. She's a 27-year veteran of meth and ended up getting arrested. She ended up having to go through the system, and you know, I suppose at one point she got drug diversion. But all those years that she did drugs, it really affected her physically to the point where she ended up getting ovarian cancer. And so 2 years ago, I lost her to terminal cancer. My nephew, her son, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. He also committed a lot of crimes. And you know what? If it wasn't for the police arresting him and going through the system, he probably will be dead right now. Right now, he committed crimes out here in Los Angeles, and he's now over in another state where he committed more crimes. And now, luckily, thank God that he's actually going through the systems at a halfway house, has been sober for, I think, over a year. So the police, for me, not just internally for what I did, but it's super necessary for others.
Wait.
I mean, we do need policing in a way, but not this type of policing. No, that's it. It's just, this is not it. We need to find another way. You know, and you know, I don't mean to be funny, but I'm pretty sure you guys, if you haven't seen the movie Judge Dredd, I mean, they get to the point. They don't take nothing personal. They do their job. They get spit on. They get talked back. And the cops just do their job. Well, they're judges, but not cops. But they just do their job. That's it. Nothing personal. It's just business. Because it is a business. Because everything that has to do with the police either has something to do with money or money comes out of it. But that's it. You just got to take the personal stuff out the equation. Out the equation, I think will be all right. And I mean, compassion, it goes hand in hand, but like I said, just do your job and that's it. You don't gotta go nowhere beyond that.
So you're 50-50.
No,
think
we should abolish this policing and start a new way.
But you're for the police as long as it's a better system, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not for the police. It needs to be something else now. The whole policing, everything that has police in it just needs to get out the way. It needs to be a new way of going about things.
So if you said you had kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have 4. Okay. If my daughter is raped, I need an officer that is willing to be my child's voice and hold the rapist accountable. Okay, I was raped. None of my family believed me. Okay, nobody. But that one officer that I spoke to, that one cop, believed me and made sure that everything was handled appropriately. And charges actually stuck.
But what's the odds of you getting that one cop? I've lost all hope in 911
That's
and
a
calling
good
cops.
point.
I don't care. My community can
That's a
take care
good
of whatever
point.
happens that comes towards my family. And I do believe that y'all need a police in perspectives, but not, how would I say, like the badge and the uniform ain't working no more.
We all agree that we need something better.
Nah, I don't agree at all, not one bit. I literally believe like that we should be able to take care of ourselves, fend for ourselves, you know? I mean, when this country...
So if you have...
Charlie wants a lawless society. Charlie, we can't have that, Charlie. Charlie, you want a lawless society, bro. We cannot have that. We need some type of law enforcement for these people that are just crazy. Just stone cold crazy. And they're mixed in amongst us, believe it or not. They just want to do bad. We can't eliminate them. We can't eliminate them from the conversation. There's people out here that just want to do bad, man. There's thieves out here. There's people just want to steal. It ain't got nothing to do with mental illness or nothing. They just want what you have out of greed. Can't have a lawless society, Charlie. No points for you.
A 3-year-old daughter that gets kidnapped or raped, your same situation.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go out.
How is she gonna defend herself?
I'm gonna become an automatic criminal and probably face charges for taking matters upon my own hands. I'm gonna fall into the cycle.
And if you couldn't find the rapist or the kidnapper?
I mean, to be honest with you, like, I hate to put it this way, but I've been a victim of crimes that I've solved myself before you guys even got involved. And crimes have happened to me that I've delivered, I've handed cases to investigators, and I've done, you know, my thing. I'm not gonna go out and shoot people. I got too much to lose, but I will do my job and I will do what I gotta do because it's my stuff. I'm paying, my tax dollars are paying for you guys to do absolutely nothing. And when you guys are called, I'm gonna open a beer, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna hang out, I'm gonna probably order a pizza. The pizza man will get there before you guys do. You're civil servants of us. At what point did you go from serving us to harassing us? At what point did you go from serving and protecting us to making us inferior to you guys? At what point do we go from the people to, man, we're scared of you guys?
And I hear you, honestly. I hear you. I hear everything you're saying. And,
I honestly have a better chance
through.
policing myself than I having call you guys.
Well,
honestly.
I'm sorry you went through what you did, okay? I will apologize for us as a whole.
Wait a minute. Now you're apologizing for everybody as a whole, but yet Dorian on the other side of you was saying, hey, I don't know you to fear you. You don't know me. I don't know you. I don't know where you live at. I don't know where they do that at. So clearly all the officers are coming from different points of views. They're not all on one accord. If you guys really are listening to this, which is why they're not putting up many points, because they all are coming from different areas of the country, and they're definitely not sharing the same ideology. They're just not. They're coming from different perspectives. And believe it or not, through this debate so far, there's one guy up there that said he actually was like he helps people, and he's talking about his family and so on and so forth. And guess what? He's the quietest one up there, and it's Leonard. It's Leonard. It's the quietest one up there. He's the only one so far that talked about how he thinks about his family and how he helped an individual He's not talking about him having these same problems that these officers are having them with people. He's just listening to the felons. He's listening to the criminals. Let's go. Yeah, he's so quiet you almost would forget he's there. But he's sitting right next to Nicole. Let's go.
But you can't judge all of us.
It's not just you guys, it's a whole history since you guys started. Like in 1777, when this country was built, there was no police.
I have trouble, especially being a black cop, is I have been through what you've gone through, yet when I try to be a better person, every time I talk to somebody with trauma like what you're saying, you judge me based off this, but then expect me not to do the reverse to you. And I don't understand where that disconnect is.
Well,
because Dorian, you're a police officer. You're a police officer. If everybody can go home safe, then that's how it should be. If their opportunity presents itself, everybody should be going home safe. Everybody. If I personally was a police officer, I could not do some of the things that I've heard about to another human being just because I'm behind this badge. I just couldn't do it, man. Like I maybe it's me, but I got too much pride for that. I got too much pride for that. You know what I mean? I just like I'm not going to do nothing to you that I can't do to you outside of this uniform. You know what I mean? If I'm just taking advantage of, if I'm taking advantage of the power behind this uniform just because I got this gun, I'm actually a weak man. I'm weak. That's what that is. That's weak. If you're doing something hiding behind that badge, and just because you got that gun on your hip, and you're taking full advantage of the power that it comes with, well, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, and not feel. I couldn't do it and then feel good the next day with myself as a man. I couldn't do it.
If I were to treat you like, oh, this is a Mexican on the street, right?
All the time.
I don't know you, so I've never done that. So don't say I've done that, right? But if I were to treat you like that, it would be an issue. Why do you feel okay to do that? Hey, this is a cop. He's going to do the exact same shit that everybody else did it before. That's not fair to do.
It's not, but it's not fair to come after me when I'm just driving my car.
I don't know you.
The Constitution says that I have the right to enjoy my roads that I pay for with my tax
dollars. It says that you have the right to travel. It doesn't say
we travel freely. Travel freely, that's the key word. Travel freely.
Right, so you can walk wherever you want to go, but you can't drive. That's under the California Constitution. But that's neither here nor there.
Charlie, see, when you start getting to this law thing, you're going to lose because driving is a privilege. It's not a right. Believe it or not. You are able to travel. But that's what he's basically telling you. He said he's not telling you right now, but I'm telling you that driving, believe it or not, and a lot of people don't know it, it's not a right. It's a privilege. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable to think about that for a second. I almost gave myself a point. But just think about that for a second. Driving is a privilege and not a right. You can use your own 2 feet, probably get on a horse, but it's a privilege.
But what I'm saying, I would never.
Pay attention, guys. I want you guys to pay attention, right? I want you guys to pay attention because this is a big problem right here. And he claims that he's not a problem and he's in the middle. But let me point it out to you guys right here where the big flaw is. Every time that I've invoked my rights, this individual has chose to go around and still violate my rights. You guys notice that?
Okay.
The same persona.
And see, that's where you went wrong, Charlie. That's where you went wrong on that particular topic. Because the police officer knows that driving is a privilege and not a right. So he knows that he did not violate your rights just now. Let's go. So no points, Charlie. You were trying though.
The same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not.
Can we move on to the last prompt because it feels like it's not going anywhere. Yeah. Locking people up doesn't solve anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Whoa.
Finally, middle ground. Punishment is the response to everything. By punishment, I mean throwing somebody into a system that does not address anything, any of the issues that the person might have had, the communities have, people with substance issues, mental health issues, poverty issues. Let's be clear, poverty is a crime, right? But people are getting locked up for it because they're trying to manage and eat and survive and just do, you know. And so we're not addressing anything that causes these ills. Okay, let's lock them up and throw away the key. That's the mindset. At least that's how we feel because we lived it and we continue to live it.
Yeah, I think we've gotten
right?
better.
And I feel like that's where now we're getting this middle ground and this understanding that it is not the way to do things. It is not the solution. Right.
I feel like we're getting the blame for it when it's a system as a whole. You know, we don't have anything to do with what happens.
But you're part of it.
And well, we are part of it, absolutely.
You're the root of it.
We absolutely agree on that.
You see, that's the thing that you guys say, oh, we're not responsible, but then you say that, oh, we're not like this, but I mean,
no,
it's
we're
like,
responsible.
No one's taking accountability. That's one thing.
Yep.
I mean, you guys say sorry, you're apologizing for them, but where are they? Like, you know, it's like we never see them.
You're the stage before intake. So you're the level before I go in. So when I'm put in handcuffs and going in, my last real human contact is with the person who put the handcuffs on me, and not once has anyone ever just had a compassionate, like, hey, I hope to see you make it out of here healthy, or hey, you know what, I'm
Recidivism's been 70% for God knows how long.
like 80 something.
I'd say probably 80 now. In certain zip codes, in certain locations, it's probably even the 90 or 95%. So from a societal, point of view, absolutely. I think that, locking people up is not the key. As a matter of fact, all the prisons that they made in the state of California has been overpopulated for decades.
There's money in recidivism. There's not money in reformation, and that's the problem. Is that you are trapped in a system, and so am I, where it's all about a dollar amount on me. And that's just what it is.
Like, when I got locked up, like, I went in for weed. And when I got out, like, in 2 weeks, I came out, like, knowing how to steal a car. I made more connections with more criminals. I learned how to make a shank. I learned how to hide stuff. Like, I became more criminal going to prison, going to jail. All these, like, you just are surrounded by other people that are doing even crazier stuff than just having weed. So it's like, I came out worse. And each time I will go, I will learn something even worse. So it's like, it just makes you even worse. Like,
imagine like having.
That's incredible. That's experience talking right there. He said every time he went in for weed, but came out a better criminal because he learned more things. That's incredible. And that's experience telling you that the system's really not working. So, and it goes all the way back to what Donna was talking about earlier in the debate when she said that this country has resorted to just punishable things for everything. They just want to punish you for everything. So it's more like a punishment than it is reformation. And if these people come out and they live next to you, you want them to be reformed. You don't want them to come out more experienced in crimes. I'm pretty sure everybody would agree with me on this. But the anti-cops are running away with this right now because there's so many points that they're making, and there's not enough rebuttals on the other side. And I'm telling you, I'm impressed with Leonard from the other side right now, people. I'm going to tell you right now. Y'all probably don't even know who he is still because he's so quiet. He's sitting back and he's listening to everything that they're saying. He's sitting in between Nicole and Dorian. He's a police officer, yet 3 of the police officers are doing all the talking and he's doing the listening. And that's important because that tells me that he's hearing what they're saying. And I bet you he takes a wealth of information from this and applies it in his own world. Let's go.
A family for 13, 27 years, right? And then you come home and you're told you can't associate with them. Like, those are my friends. And they're home, I'm home. We've relied on each other. Violation, 10-day sit down. oh, what's your name? It's all about the dollar amount. All my support is stripped because they're felons. What support do I have? Not y'all, not the felons. I'm in the middle line too. Who supports me? My job.
We need some help on both sides at all levels. Going back what you said about financials, yeah, it is. It's at the legislative branch that where they need to make these changes, and it's going to trickle down where it affects all of us on both sides. Definitely.
And we have not really brought the elephant to light in this room right now. This system is not ours, right? It was created before any of us here. Was designed to continue a form of slavery. Period. The vast majority of the 2.3 million people in American prisons and jails are black and brown people. Period.
It's broken, and I don't see.
I'm pausing this right here, and I'm going to tell you why. I want to show y'all something. I want to show y'all something. Let me tell you something. As I'm sitting up here watching this, right, I noticed that the only African American happened to be a cop. There wasn't one African American male for the criminals. Yet, look at this stat. The arrest rate per 1,000 residents by race and gender. And this was in January of March 16th. Black men, 24.9%. White men, 16.4%. Okay. Other, 2.1%. Black women, 6.6%. White women, 4.3%. And other women, 0.2%. Now, you're going to tell me that there shouldn't have been a black criminal on that panel talking to those officers? So essentially, while we've been watching this debate, we've been watching them talk to people that's not even the biggest statistic on their arrest sheet. That's insane. That's insane. And I'm so glad Donna brung it up, because in no shape, way, or form that there shouldn't have been a black man on that panel, according to the statistics. Because now you don't even hear the cry of the individual that receives the blunt and the most arrests that these people are actually dealing with. You know, you're not even looking across and hearing that voice. That voice is not even there from the biggest victim. It's not even there. And I was sitting there and I said, you know what? It's amazing. It's amazing. U.S. incarceration rates by race and ethnicity in 2010. Look at that. Look at the blacks. 2,306. It's 1,000 away from the next closest race. 1,000. Look at that. Look at the number. And there's not a black man on the panel. What are we doing? I mean, I want to give myself some points, but I can't do that because that would be bias. I can't do it. I'm just going with the numbers. On this panel, look at this. This is the prison numbers. This is the incarceration. What are we talking about here? Look at this. The homicides with black and Latinx victims are less likely led to an arrest than homicides with white victims. Look at this. every time it seems like there's white victims, there's a 63% chance of an arrest. Then comes the Hispanics, and then black victims. So they're first in one category and worse in this category. And there's no black men on the panel, people. I find that insane. That's insane to me. So while these police officers were up here the entire time, yet one of them is an officer, and he never even mentioned his own race. He never mentioned his own race. He never mentioned it. He never mentioned it, and guess what? Neither did nobody else. So the only person that even came close to mentioning it right now is Donna. And she said, I'm not even going to bring up the elephant in the room. She said she thought it was about time that they brought the elephant up in the room. And she handed around it, but she still didn't actually speak so far about black men in general. Because according to the statistics, a black man should have been doing the most talking in this entire debate. And this is why scoreboard keepers are here. So we can keep things accurate and in check. So there's a voice. There's a voice that's
Our
missing.
generations being able to fix it. I don't see the next generation, but I will tell you, I will do my part as an individual to uphold and treat everybody with respect, as I'm sure all three of these guys can say as well. You know, I didn't know y'all from Adam. I don't know them from Adam, but here we are. We're having conversations, we're having debates, and I will still treat you guys all with the same respect.
And thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that was powerful. That was powerful. I see Scar getting out of there. He's getting out of there. Let me tell you something, guys. Let me tell you something. That was a powerful debate. And I think they actually made some ground. But I'm going to tell you something. According to these numbers, them not having a black man on that panel was almost an injustice. It was almost an injustice. And I'm saying, according to the numbers, man, according to the numbers, that's an injustice. So we just watched an entire debate where the biggest victim of these complaints was not there and not represented. It wasn't represented. So I just wanted everybody to see that. Guys, listen, it was a clean victory for the anti-cops. I thought that they made the most points. I thought they did the most rebuttaling. I recognize that three of the cops on the other side were doing the most talking, and Leonard himself was actually listening. I thought that Dorian was on the defensive the entire time. I thought Nicole actually didn't have a clue, being from Tennessee, that what was going on inside of some of these cities. I thought that Marlon actually came around. I actually thought that he actually realized and he owned up to some of the things that was done in the past is the reason why they're going through some of the things they are now. And I believe that he's going to make some ground. I believe that he's going to come around and realize that the police and the citizens need to have a better rapport with one another. And I hope that they can actually come to some type of understanding. But you know, it's hard for them to do that when actually black men wasn't even represented in this debate. So you guys make sure you like, share, and subscribe. This was Anti-Cops 49, Pro Cops 27. It was a healthy victory for the anti-cops. You guys leave your comments down below. I would love to know what you think. And I hope you guys can join us maybe on the next one when we do one of these reactions. I look forward to seeing your comments and let me know how you feel, because this was a very powerful debate. And with the scoreboard keepers, we listen intently and we don't keep receipts. We keep the score. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night. God bless.